90 watts by 2, 120 watts by 2, 300 watts by 1 in the palm of your hand for less than $200.
Yeah, I just want to be the greatest.
It's your boy HifiVega, and today we're going to be reviewing the Sundown SDX 90.2. It is a marine rated amp. It is tiny, as you can see, smaller than my hand. We'll cut to the unboxing shortly, and then we'll give it a dyno and a listen and see what I think about it overall. But before we do that, let's do a little comparison. This amp in 2022 will cost you about $190. We know what the ratings are. What could you get in the old school days? Something here that might be a little comparable to this. So let me take you back to 1998. And if you guys recognize this, you are truly old school. This is an Orion 225 HCCA R. This was a legendary cheater amp. This is one of the later revisions. In 1998, this amp right here would cost you $629. If you adjust for inflation, I'm sure that that's well over $1,000 for a comparable power-wise amp. This amp is a cheater amp, so it was rated 25 watts by 2 at 4 ohms, 50 watts by 2 at 2 ohms, 100 watts by 2 at 1 ohm, and 200 watts by 2 at 1/2 ohm stereo. This amp was able to be bridged mono at 1 ohm, where it would deliver you 400 watts. We've seen plenty of these on the dynos, and we know that they actually come up a little bit short. So today you can get an amp that'll pretty much give you the same power that this amp would have got you for over $1,000 in today's money, for $190. With all that being said, let's get it on the dyno. Let's see what kind of power it does. Let's listen to it. Let's get it on some subs and see if it do actually bump though. Then we'll open it up and see what's inside this little powerhouse. So my buddy Scott, aka Scott the Sundown guy from Southern Car Audio, sent me this little Sundown SDX 90.2. All right, let's get some measurements on the amp. We're right at 6 inches wide, about 4 inches if you include the terminals, under 2 inches in height. This is very, very small. I could literally almost cover the whole thing up with my hand. Let's get a closer look here. You have a power, ground, and remote turn on right here in a old Weco style plug. Although it's a little bit different, a little bit easier to pull off. Definitely appreciate that. And then you have the speaker terminal also in a plug. And if you want to do low level input, which I'm assuming most car audio people will do, you got your RCAs. And if you want to go high level, you're covered right here. It looks like you have a signal sense and a DC offset. There's two things I want to show you as I was hooking this up. One, you have the silk screen right here that tells you what is positive, what is the remote, and what is negative. That's nice to have on pull-out plugs because often you have to refer to the amp. So that's a nice touch there. Secondly, this will fit 8 gauge easily. On the left, we have a standard size 8 gauge. This is Phoenix Gold wire. And on the right, we have an oversized 8 gauge. This is Sky High audio wire. They both fit, no problem. Here is the 4 ohm stereo test. We are rated 90 watts by 2. Both channels are driven at 4 ohms on a pure resistive load. This is a 1 kilohertz track. I will tell you how much amperage we pull. The amp clamp is down below where you can't see it in the shot. So here we go. Looks like we got 87 watts at 14.42 volts, pulled 25 amps, making it 48% efficient. Here is the 2 ohm stereo run on the SDX 90. It is rated 120 watts by 2. All channels are driven at 2 ohms stereo. So let's see what kind of power we get. Now the clamp meters below, I will just tell you how much amperage it pulls during this draw. So that way we can keep track of it. Boom, we have 131 watts at 14.36 volts, pulled 40 amps, making it 45% efficient. This is the 4 ohm mono test. We're rated 350 watts by 1. So let's see what we actually get. Starting at 14.5 volts, this is a 40 hertz track because this is a subwoofer situation. It looks like we fell a little bit short at 310 watts, 14.38 volts, pulled 36 amps, making it 59% efficient. Back with my final thoughts. I got a new shirt. If you want a cool crimping and easy shirt like me, you can go to HifiVega.com, click on the merch tab, and get you a sweet shirt like this, or the classic It's Your Boy. Also, if you need an amp kit or a Big 3 kit, we got you covered there too. Now that I've got the shameless promotion out of the way, let's talk about what I thought about this amp. So I mistakenly said this amp was rated 300 watts when it is in fact rated 350 watts by 1 at 4-ohm bridge. We were at 310 watts uncertified up to clipping, so we did fall a little bit short. As far as the other ones, we exceeded the rating at 2-ohm stereo and 4-ohm stereo. We came within tolerance of making that number. So in my opinion, that's a pass on this. These little tiny mini amps have a hard time making their power, especially when they pack as much power as this one does. 90 watts by 2 is quite a bit in something this size. And they're not the only ones. There has been other companies with these mini amps that came up just so short. With that being said, what did I think about the sound quality? I thought it sounded, decent. Can I say that it's a sound quality amp for me? No, personally, I would pick, maybe this cheater over here in sound quality over that amp. But with that being said, I think that this amp has a place, and that place is for someone that doesn't have a lot of room, someone that needs quite a bit of power on their mids, especially if you're going to run this in a situation where you're going to run it 2-ohm stereo. You're going to get 130 watts basically times 2, and it is marine rated, so you can use this on a boat safely. I think it's a win. I think this is a good amp under $200. Barely got hot at all. It's a pretty killer little package. And one thing that I really like about this amp is the design. That is such a cool design. I like the X. It gives me like X-Men vibes. So really, really cool design, and you wouldn't be disappointed if you pick this up. With all that being said, I hope you do enjoy these type of videos. If you like this kind of content and you want to see more, make sure you're subscribed and you've hit the bell. And I want to give a special shout out to monthly Patreon show sponsor David Kozlik. He is a big supporter over on the Patreon team, and I appreciate every single patron that supports me, even at the lowest tier. You guys are great. That's it. That's my video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I want to see every single one of you on the next one. Thank you to all my Patreon supporters, but I want to give a special shout out to the 6-star and more members: 2001 Monolithic, G Nava, Joaquin Juarez, El Fuego Audio, Travis McClendon, Brandon Hanna, William Berg, Boxboy Audio Sound Solutions, Jesus Tires, Dennis Cromwell Jr., Scott Dilbeck, D. Stewart, Aaron Waltz, David Kozlik, Scott McCord, Matthew Toberg, Debo Bass, Corey D., Trucker 9000, Bobby Burkett, Kevin Lautner, The Cardio Guy, James Childers, and Baba. For as little as $2 a month, you can join the team and get exclusive behind-the-scenes Patreon-only content, and you get access to the Patreon-only monthly podcast. So if any of this interests you, please check me out at patreon.com/HifiVega. Oh, oh, oh. I have been beating on this amp for quite a while. I've done a warm-up, done the dyno runs. I can feel a little warmth off of it, but it does not seem bad at all. So let's put the thermometer on it and see where we're at. $106, just about, yeah, 106. Yeah, that's absolutely nothing. So 106 degrees was the peak. Not bad at all for as much abuse as I've been putting this thing through.